All right, Michael, we want to welcome everybody that's joining us today, those that are live and those that are on the recording with us. My name's Shaun Farr, president of Landvoice. So thrilled and excited to have Michael Tritthart with us today. Michael, I want you to kind of tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what
Sure.
you've been up to lately, as well as just a little bit of your background. I love anyone that's coming from the state of Texas, McKinney, Texas. Done a lot to help in the real estate industry since 2001. But tell us a little bit more. Give us
Yeah.
60, 90
Well,
seconds
first
of,
off, Sean, thanks for letting me come on and share. I appreciate it. So I was actually a teacher and a football coach here in Texas for 6 years. Started that back in 1995. I always tell everybody, Friday Night Lights, it's real. It's a religion in Texas. It's crazy.
culture in
Did that
Texas. Yeah.
for 6 years and decided I wanted to have some family time, family life, because it
Yep.
was 7 days a week, 105 hours a week. Got into the real estate space in 2001. I joined a local title company here in Texas, and I think I was either the first or second CE certified instructor in Texas to start to provide technology courses to the real estate agents. And so I started that in '01, joined a large brokerage in 2004 in Plano, became the director of tech for that brokerage. And then from there, started to travel and train nationwide. And then that expanded into Canada and Puerto Rico. And so the trainings that I provide and still do to this day can be either attended in person or via Zoom. And they're all about taking action, lead generation, social media marketing, Google, AI, of course, has exploded in the past couple years.
Definitely.
So a lot of techniques that'll help business owners, real estate agents really take action in their business.
Yeah, I appreciate that intro, Michael. And a couple things. We're going to kind of go a little different route today in this podcast and this recording. A lot of times at Landvoice, we like to talk about seller data and listing properties, and we're all about the FISBOs and the expireds, and there's some really hot topics there. But in the real estate industry, it's very entrepreneurial. We're working with a lot of agents, some on a team, some in big brokerages, some in small. But I like to refer to each of us as real estate agents, licensed realtors. I really like to refer to us as solopreneurs, right? Like we're out there just trying to grind and build this business up to something where pretty quick we go from the solopreneur to a substantial business that kind of can keep growing into something even better. While we're doing all of that, though, Michael, a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we forget all about our health. And
Absolutely.
today's, training, whatever we want to kind of refer to it is we want to really kind of talk about, hey, don't forget about what's most important in our life. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, there's a big problem, right? Like we're not in this long term. And so I really want to get you to get into that a little bit today is the entrepreneurial health of who we are, what we should be doing while we're wearing 1,000 different hats and are so busy. And then we got to go and kind of remember what it's like to actually, we can't forget about family and everything else that's going on in our life. And
Yeah,
so, how do we find that balance and how do we kind of find some focus on the health side of it all, right? That's what
yeah,
I want to get into
absolutely.
today with you.
And
Yeah.
and what I'm going to share is basically my journey, right? So take it for what it is. Don't take it as, oh my gosh, I have to do exactly what Michael does. Consult your trusted medical professions and
Definitely.
physicians and people before you start to make a change like this. But it's really all about taking ownership. Landvoice gives you ownership of your business. The trainings that I provide give you ownership of your business. But the one thing that we seem to give up ownership pretty easily as a solopreneur is our health. And it's our
Yeah.
physical health, it's our mental health, it's our spiritual health because we're the grinder, right? If the engine isn't running, the business isn't running. But if the engine starts to be fed improper food and beliefs and, just gets out of whack,
The
then
diet of it all, right?
I mean, it's going to end it all right there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be bad news. You're going to be spending. Hopefully, if you're still alive at that point, you're going to be spending thousands upon thousands of dollars to try to rectify medical conditions and
Mhm.
other type of situations that have sprung up because you let go of the ownership. And the reason why I say that is I did that right in 2008. I was starting to travel and train. I'd been on the road quite a bit for a couple of years, and wasn't really watching what I was eating, and just kind of. I was a dad to two young kids, so it was kind of like dad bod mode.
Yep.
I'm the garbage disposal for the family. Oh, you're not going to eat that? I'll eat that. That type of stuff. And one day I wanted to say I was doing something awesome. It wasn't. I was stepping up onto a desk to change a light bulb, and my knee exploded in 3 spots. My meniscus basically just
Man.
popped in 3 spots, like 3 gunshots going off.
Yep.
And so go to this surgeon, never seen this guy before in my life. He's looking at the chart. He's doing this whole thing. He's looking at the chart, looking at me, doing all that. And then finally he puts the chart down and just stares dead in my eyes and says, "Time to lose weight, fat boy." And stares at me for like a minute without saying a word. I mean, like enough to where I was like, okay, I get it. I got it. Right.
Yeah.
And he was right. I was like 260 pounds. I was way overweight. I could hide it because I'm fairly tall, but I wasn't comfortable. Right.
No.
I was just not healthy.
And
And so
not
that
the
night I
softest
go,
way for a doctor to tell anybody anything, right?
well,
But
see,
it's pretty straightforward
as a
for you.
former football coach,
Yeah.
I like the bluntness.
Yep.
Don't beat around the bush with me. Tell me how it's going to be.
Yep.
So I appreciated him saying that, not at the time, but looking back. Now that night though, I go home, I'm all pouty because he called me fat boy. So I'm sitting down in my comfy chair and I turn on the TV, and the first thing that comes on is a commercial that says, "For every pound that you lose, it's 4 pounds of pressure off your knee." And I was like, wow, okay. I'm 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 pretty dense sometimes, but I'm picking up the hint, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's talking to me.
It
So
keeps
right then
coming.
and there, I told my wife, I said, "I'm going cold turkey on fast food. No more blankety blank 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 fast food. I'm not doing it. If it's got a drive through, I'm not going there." And this is the part where my wife's like, "Don't say this to ladies. They don't like to hear this." When a guy says, "I want to lose weight," we can just think about it. We lose 5 pounds, right?
Sure.
I
Yep.
lost 20 pounds the first month.
Just getting off
Yeah.
fast food.
Just getting off fast food,
And
going cold turkey.
this is 2008, Michael. Is that right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so that first 30 days, I was a complete jerk to everybody because I went back and I researched this a little bit. I'm a former history teacher, so I kind of nerd out on the research.
Yep.
What I just did for those 30 days is equivalent to somebody getting off of heroin, going through the withdrawals, because I was addicted to the sugar and the grease and the salt and all the additives that are in these foods, and my body was craving that junk that had been fed. But after about 30 days, I just gained like this sense of clarity. Like I don't need that anymore. I don't even want that anymore. It's kind of gross, right? And so what I did and what I still continue to do is work on certain elements of that. Now, what I discovered later, what I had done was something that's actually in the book, The One Thing, and it's a 66-day challenge. So I kind of did a 66-day challenge before I even knew what it was. Once I understood what a 66-day challenge is, which is to take one thing and change one thing in your life over the course of 66 days, and by the end it becomes a habit, I started to basically stack one things. And the reason why I say this to everybody, people who say, "Well, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to cut out all soft drinks, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." We try to multitask changes, massive changes,
All
and it's a
overnight.
massive fail,
Yep.
right? And you have to do one thing at a time. So I cut out the fast food, but I was still, I have a website design company and I'm traveling all over the place. I'm still pounding down soft drinks like nobody's business, but I cut out soft drinks soon thereafter. And so over the course of the years, I've started to cut out certain elements of things that I knew were affecting my health in a very negative way. Now, kind of moving on a couple years from there,
Sure.
I got as a football coach in Texas. I'm fair complected. I got some skin cancer, right? I got basal and I got squamous. Nothing. Knock on wood, like melanoma or anything else like that.
Sure.
But it's a shock to the system. You're like, whoa, what the heck, right? And I've had Mohs surgery before. I think I've had like 4 of those where they go in and they cut the skin cancer out and they have to clear all the edges and they got to sew it all back up. And I had, it was again kind of a shock to your system that you're going through all of that. Well, what I discovered here in the last 3 or 4 years is the negativity on your body that seed oils has. And seed oils, what I've discovered is, and I'll give you all the documentation. Feel free to share with this with everybody in the podcast, and they can go and look it up for themselves because that's what I had to do. Is I had to go and look it up for myself. But seed oils which are like safflower, sunflower seed oil, rapeseed, canola oil, and there's a couple more that are kind of fall into that category. They are in like 95% of the food that are in the grocery stores. And there is a podcast, excuse me, a YouTube link from a doctor a couple years ago talking about this. And he basically says, hey, enriched flour, it's not good for us. Sugar, it's not good for us. We all know that.
Sure.
But he goes, the one thing that everyone should cut out is seed oils. He's like, it literally is toxic waste. And it causes inflammation. It causes a bunch of issues and everything else. And again, I'm going to kind of nerd out on a little history part. I know we're talking Landvoice and
No, no,
and
no.
all
It's
this other
all
type of
health
stuff.
today. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we're gonna take a little history tour here.
And I want you to double click on this. So talk us through seed oils. Like, are there specific foods that come to mind that, like, for the novice, the guy that's
Yes.
not thinking about this,
Yeah.
what are some that I should just be like thinking
So
about
I
and
started I
cutting every
started
day?
reading I started reading the ingredients on
Yeah.
everything, and my wife was like, "Seriously, it takes me like 4 hours to go shopping now." Like she said that in the beginning because we were having to look at everything. Now we kind of know what we can get, what we can't get. But seed oils are in almost every dressing, like
Okay.
salad dressing. They're like
Yep.
loaded with it. The vast majority of your bread, so most tortillas, bread, things like that. Um, it's surprising. It'll be. It's also in your shampoo, right? It's in your suntan lotion.
But real quick, double click on the bread. So is that just, are you talking about enriched flour or are you talking about a different seed oil in the
Think
breads?
of a triangle, right? And so there's
Okay.
a triangle. One section is enriched flour, another part is sugar, and then the other part is seed oils. And this doctor, which I'll send you the link, he's like, look, you can't cut out everything. Just it's
No.
the nature of the beast, right? There's just this food's everywhere, and it's so prevalent in everything. He's like, but the one triangle I would want you to cut out would be your seed oils. So I just became like almost like hyper intense and crazy focused on seed oils equals poison. Like I'm not eating it, right? I'm not using that type of shampoo. I'm not using that type of suntan lotion or bug spray. It's in bug spray as well too. And I was like, I'm not putting it in my body. I'm not putting it on my skin. And so with the seed oils, canola oil or vegetable oil,
Sure.
right? This is a crazy, and I discovered this, and I'll again give you the documentation. In World War II, Canada was using machinery, tanks and ships for the war effort, and they needed engine lubricant. Well, they discovered that they could get oil from a plant called the rape plant, which is a horrible name, but it's called the rapeseed, right? And so they could get this oil from rapeseed to use for engine lubricant. After the war, they had a tremendous amount of this oil left over, and they had this processing system of they could extract this oil, and they're looking around like, well, what are we going to do with it?
What's the
Well,
next use case, right?
yeah, what's the next use case? So what they did is they happened to, I don't know, give like $60 million to the FDA in the United States for a study that proved that canola oil or rapeseed oil was good for your heart. And so
Hmm.
they rebranded it as canola oil and started putting it into all the foods. And so they started telling everybody, don't eat animal fats, don't eat the things that we had done for hundreds of years. Let's
Yeah.
start eating engine lubricant, and using that in our food. And we'll call it healthy oil, and we'll rename it canola oil. And so since then, the obesity rates in the United States and other countries have just skyrocketed because it's in everything. And so I tell everybody, it's not really your fault. It wasn't my fault. It's not anybody's fault because we just don't know,
Yeah.
right? And nobody's telling us this, and a select few are. So over the last 3 years, I've eliminated 90% of the seed oils that I intake. You can't get rid of all of it because if you go out to eat, I mean, restaurants,
It's
they're
going to be
they're
there.
using these type of oils, right?
Yeah.
Very, very few are not. Now, why am I mentioning all of this? Well, told you I had Mohs surgery. Since then, I've had to do the acid chemical peels on my face, which is I always tell everybody it's like think of the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they open the ark and all the faces melt. That's about how it feels, right? Because you got to put this acid on your face, and then put you in the blue light, and it just basically starts to burn a layer off. It's not enjoyable. Had like 4 of those, and since I've stopped ingesting the seed oils or putting it on suntan lotion or shampoo and everything else, I noticed pretty quick thereafter they weren't going in on my checkups. They weren't freezing as many spots. I was like, okay, there's a correlation, right? And I just had a checkup this past week, and they, for the first time ever, didn't freeze anything. And the doctor's like, "Hey, whatever you're doing, it's great. Keep doing it." I'm like, I didn't tell her what I was doing. I was just like, "Okay, thank you,
So,
appreciate that."
Michael, talk us through that a little bit because you and I aren't using a lot of shampoos right now, right?
Yeah,
Like I've got the hat on, but
body
you and
it's
I,
body
right? Like,
wash. Yeah,
yeah. So it's the body wash. You're kind of looking at that as well, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I start looking at all natural alternatives,
Yeah.
right? And it started with seed oils, and it's progressed to. Uh, I'm, I'm not affiliated with them, but I'll give them a plug. There's a company out there called Van Man, and Van Man now has like uh, mineral toothpaste, like all natural mineral toothpaste, so no fluoride, cut out fluoride.
Hmm.
I'm drinking purified water. I've got a system that purifies the water. One that I just recently did. I was always concerned about this one because I was like, oh, I don't want to be that guy. But I went to like all natural deodorant. I was like, oh, I don't want to be like that one that everybody's like, oh man, do something, right? But a lot of our spray deodorant has aluminum in it,
Right.
which again is not natural. And there's studies that shows that it potentially could lead to dementia later in life. So I went all natural. And I thought for like a week or so, I was expected to kind of quarantine myself because I was going to be the stinky guy. I was going to be the
Yeah.
one that was nobody wanted to be around.
Yep.
I used the all natural deodorant from Van Man, never missed a beat. And I think it's number one, it's a good product, but number two, I think it shows that I've kind of detoxified my body a little bit. And one of my friends, business acquaintance, we built her website. She's really big into the health aspect of it. And I had told her that I'm eliminating the seed oils, and I told her uh, about my most recent checkup, and she's like, good for you. You woke up. You stopped becoming the chicken that was basting in all of this
Yeah.
oil and then air frying yourself daily. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Uh, we just have
So
to be aware of it.
let me ask you a couple questions. I mean, obviously, this seed oil is something pretty passionate about, something we should all kind of get rid of. You and I, we could probably classify ourselves as middle age or even on the other side of it, right? Excuse me. And after that, we start questioning everything. Like it's a pretty natural process for us. But what do we tell the guys and gals out there that are in their mid 20s, their mid 30s that kind of aren't at that point yet, right? I mean, they can drink a 6 pack of Coke or eat anything they want. It's really not going to touch them. Like what's really the message for people that are kind of younger, not thinking about these things yet?
Don't be like me, because I hit that again as a football coach. We're working long hours. We're eating anything we want. And when I first started coaching, it was like, ah, man, I'm young. I can respond to this. And I still remember this. I got a photograph of me coaching. The official coaching photographs of me at 29 and then age 30. And like that one year, it was like I gained like 20 pounds, just right,
Yeah.
just boom, like that. You hit that wall, right? And you hit that wall, and
Certain age
father
and it
father
happens
time
all,
is
right?
undefeated. We know that.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I'm in better shape now at 51 than I was at 31. I can run circles around the 31-year-old me,
Yep.
and it's it's a combination of eating right, but you also have to have exercise in your life. And I believe you have to have, cardio, but also strength training. I think a lot of us, as we get older, we think, oh, we don't need strength training. It's just about cardio and losing weight. No, it's about
Yep.
retaining your muscle mass,
No question.
and that helps your joints. I've had my knee surgically replaced, not replaced, but fixed. But my other one was giving me troubles for a while, but I've really gotten back into strength training, and it's alleviated any of those pains. And so, it becomes a regimen as a business owner of watching what you eat, like really watching what you eat the hidden aspects, because like I said, they're sneaky with the oils. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Uh, really focusing on one thing to cut out like that,
Hmm.
exercise. And I think over the last 4 years, a lot of business owners have realized you got to focus on your mental health. It's
Got
been
to.
it's been a pretty tough road for a lot of people,
Yeah. Ever
and
since COVID,
that's
we're
yeah.
all
Ever since
talking
COVID,
about it, but it's important for us to understand it, right?
yeah. My wife works in the mental health field. She worked in a hospital for 19 years and now works for the local police department in the mental health division. And we're seeing she can't tell me specifics, but she's telling me, man, we're seeing a lot of cases in the city of people still having those mental breaks. And I think it's just this overall health, mind, body, soul aspect that we have just put on the back burner for so long
Yep.
that we just have to put a refocus on that. And that leads, all of that leads to, in my opinion, better family interaction.
Yeah, no question. So there's no doubt in your life, you've had an impact just on the diet side. There's a lot of different workouts and exercise regimes out there, and everyone's got their own. But tell the audience just a little bit of what are you doing on the exercise side? Are you a walker? Are you a runner? Do you
Sure.
mountain bike? Are you
So
lifting
I
with
was
football
I was the
players?
guy I was the guy that would always go to the gym because I'm a football coach. I'm going to go to the gym. I got my workout. I know what
Yeah,
I'm going to do.
yeah,
And then invariably, I think a lot of gym goers end up doing the same thing because I would look around and see them doing the same thing. We lift, kind of play on our phone for about 2 minutes. We lift again, play on our phone for another 30 seconds. Like we're not really working,
right,
right? We're
right.
kind of just we're clocking time. And I actually, my wife got me into this one, uh, and I was like, oh, "Come on, I'm a guy. This is chick stuff. I don't think I want to do it." But we went to Fit Body Boot Camp, and
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever. They're nationwide, and
Yeah, haven't
it's
done
kind
it.
of like CrossFit without the major impact on your joints, right? And so I go to Fit Body Boot Camp, and after the first couple days, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is like as close to when I played football, what we had in our off-season program called fourth quarter, which we all hated fourth quarter because it was a butt kicker, right? It worked you. This is as close to anything like that I've seen, and I've still been going there for a couple years, and that has made a radical change, radical difference in how I approach the fitness side of it. And what I really love about it is it's 45 minutes versus a couple hours at the gym. So I go in, I don't have to worry about what I'm doing. They're telling me what I'm doing. We're going from station to station. There's no rest in between. There's no checking your phone. Like you're
You're
hopping. So
going.
it's cardio, it's strength, it's flexibility, it's everything. So that has been a game changer for me.
What's that like, Michael? Is that 2 to 3 times a week? Are you there every day? Like, what's that look
For
like for you?
me, I like to go like 4 or 5 times a week if I can. Now, when I'm
Yeah.
traveling, I've got a travel workout that they've given me. That again, instead of just going into the hotel gym and kind of goofing around, I'm going in. It's very timely. It's like 30 minutes of like just high intensity, get that sweat going, get the lifts in, and get out type of situation. But I try to go as often as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I just tell the audience a couple things, right? Like anything works, but everything doesn't, right? Like we can't do it all. And
Right.
so I think the point to this message today is choose something, right? Choose something in your diet, whether it's soda, whether it's the seed oils you're talking about. I'm certainly going to be more mindful of what I'm ingesting in my body just from the seed oil. I've never even thought about it, Michael. So yeah, let's
Most people
pick.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the invitation today is pick something in your diet you're going to do, right? Is it fasting 16 hours a day and only eating 8? The whole intermittent fasting is pretty popular thing. Is it the seed oils? Is it the soda? Is it the fast food? Let's pick something. Let's get a little bit healthier and then let's find a way to kind of live a balanced life, right? And find some type of exercise. I found last year I had no exercise in my life. I was running the kids around, professional Uber driver after work, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Traveling all over the place. Eating was good but not great. And what I found is that there's just no time to exercise. And so literally for me it became a sacred time in my life, but at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. I just went out and walked, right? It was a 3 mile walk for me. In the wintertime up here in Salt Lake City, that's not the easiest thing. So sometimes it's the treadmill,
Yep.
right? But it's something to kind of keep us active. And what I found is if I can focus a little bit on diet, one or two things, And if I can focus a little bit on the exercise, I'm living more of that balanced life. And emotionally, mentally, I'm already in that better state because we're getting the endorphin hit and everything else from it as well. So, yeah, these are little things that we don't have to do all of it, but we got to pick a couple things and we got to get better at what we're doing each day, don't we?
Well, and I want to tag on to the walks that you're doing. This was a study that I heard this week that you have improved mental health, and especially in the 20s to 30s, you have improved mental health if you get into nature and you get away from the cities and you get away from the tech and
Mm,
you
get
reconnect with
offline.
nature,
Yeah.
right? And that the endorphins, just the the fresh air, just everything that is involved with getting back to nature is always going to be a good thing for your body and for your mind and everything else. But start with something, And for me, it was fast food. For somebody else, it'll be something else. But I'm just now I'm looking at everything. I'm researching everything. I question everything, and I think
Mhm.
that's something that, as you said earlier, that happens when we get a little bit older. We start kind of thinking more about the process versus just like chugging ahead as an entrepreneur, just trying to make headway in your business. Because the repercussions of the decisions you make as a 20-year-old are going to start to affect you when you get into your 50s and your 60s.
No question. Yep. Yeah, we've got one body and one life to live, and we might as well make it the best. And that's our invitation to each of you today. We're entrepreneurs, we're solopreneurs. Let's not forget about us, right? Like each of you
Absolutely.
individually. And so we're coming up against it, Michael. Really appreciate your time. Us, the focus, the seed oils is something I'm going to start looking at and be
I'll send
mindful
you the
of.
links. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts as we're wrapping up today?
No, I just appreciate you letting me come in and share. And if anybody has any questions on anything that we talked about today, you can reach me at michaeltritthart.com. Or if you're interested in any of the training sessions that I do for your business, you'll find all that out there. And I'm actually putting together a health training session for entrepreneurs. So seed oils and a lot of what we talked about today will be in that. And I didn't think it was going to be such a big draw, but I mentioned it to some real estate agents, and it's probably the number one thing that just jumped off the page. We're like, hey, let me know when that class is happening. I want to be there. So
Love that.
I can tell this is a big priority for a lot of people.
We'll post the link in the YouTube video just below that video in the next couple of days. Hope everybody enjoys that link, does the research. More importantly, let's get out there. Let's make it the best life ever. You quoted the one thing, Gary Keller, great book, 66 Days, Developing Good Habits. The other thing I would reference is there's a great book out there called The Compound Effect. And if every day we can just build and get a little bit better, really that's what we're trying to do as entrepreneurs, but on the health and the mental and the emotional fitness as well. Let's find ways to improve our health, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. Spiritually, there's all types of opportunities as well as
Absolutely.
financially, Michael. So again, really appreciate your time today. Let's find those opportunities to improve, and I'm sure we'll see you again. We've got 2 or 3 other really hot topics to hit on over the next few months.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shaun.
All right, guys. Thank you. See everybody soon.